Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. How's everything at your end? How's
So far,
Corona
so
still
good. We
treating
can't
you?
complain. Yeah, no, so far, so good. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you guys. So looking forward to it.
Thank you for taking. I'm sure you're very busy, so thank you for taking out the time for us. And so, first of all, I would really like if you could just give our audience a small introduction of yourself. I think you'd be able to explain it better than
Oh,
me.
sure. So I'm Rafiq Malik. I'm one of the founding members and the chief operating officer at Ikea. We started by Ikea in 2016. Mainly sort of came together as really an idea on how do we get the masses to leverage, some of the biggest assets that they own, which are essentially a motorcycle and a smartphone.
Yes.
Because a motorcycle is almost about 50,000 rupees, and a smartphone is well, anywhere between 10 to 20, 25, 30,000 rupees. So how do we get them to sort of use that to try and make an income, right? And essentially, um, you know, uh, the idea really was, that there are so many motorcycles in this country. How can we? And they're all sitting idle most of the times, by the way.
Yes.
So how can we actually allow those dead assets to be utilized, right?
Yeah. Creating more opportunities for people.
Exactly, exactly. And look, there's a real dearth of good public transport in most cities, especially Karachi. That's where we
Yes.
started. उस वक्त they didn't have the Lahore Metro or the Islamabad Metro, by the way. They were
Hmm.
they were sort of building it out as well. So even when we launched other cities, we found success there. And ideally, I think people have to move, right? So people
Yes.
need to move, and they need to find and they we need to find cheap ways of allowing them to move. So
Yes.
Baikia was sort of well positioned because it was on a motorcycle. It's a very cheap or a very affordable asset class. So we
Yes.
can afford to charge literally 100 rupees, for a ride from point A to point B, 6, 7 kilometers, and the economics work, right? They work
Yep.
for the person who's driving the bike. They work for the person who wants the ride. So that's really allowed us to sort of build our brand and our presence, and really allowed us to lead in the bike taxi business in the
Yes.
cities that we operate in.
Yes. I think no, these apps have really helped because just let's say around 6, 7 years ago when I was in university, we did not have any reliable public transport or means of communication that we could use. So these apps really have changed things for people because I remember even if you would take public transport, somebody would ask you for 200 rupees, another person would ask you for 500 rupees for the same ride. So
Yeah,
I guess these things
there
have
was no
really
price consistency for the consumer,
exactly
right? It was
yes,
it was always a discovery, really, basically depending on the mood of the driver, depending on where he wants to go, depending on the
yes,
traffic situation at the time, depending on the time of day.
yeah,
So I think I think what these apps have done, and what Bikea has done, we've taken that element of surprise out of the mix, right?
yes,
That availability and that reliability is really what draws customers.
exactly.
Literally, I think I'm not sure what city you're in, but in Karachi, even in Islamabad, for that matter, you order a Bikea.
Yes,
I mean, 3 minutes, four
and
minutes, the
two three
guy's there,
minutes
right?
exactly. Yes,
I know Lahore mein we still have a 5+ minute ETA, which we are obviously working on, and we are inducting more and more supply. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring it down under 5 minutes there as well. But
yes,
Karachi, Islamabad, and Rawalpindi, I mean, it's like 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes.
exactly. I can.
So and it's on demand, right? So you don't really kind of need to plan, right? We've kind of taken that hassle out of the mix for you, where you need to say, oh yeah, I have to go somewhere at 2 o'clock. Let me make a booking right now. No, you want to go somewhere at two.
Yes,
You want to leave at 2. Make a booking at 1:55.
155.
The
Yeah,
guy's going to be there at 2 to pick you up. So
exactly
essentially,
true.
that's like, let us worry about getting you there, right? Like, you worry about what you got to worry about. So I think
Yes.
that's what we focused on, and people have responded. So
Hmm.
so so it's been challenging, but it's been successful as well
Yes.
at the same time.
Exactly. So how has your overall journey been from an idea to an app that is so successful now? Because obviously living in Pakistan, there are so many restrictions you have when you're starting up a business. So how do you think it
Absolutely.
was?
Look, Pakistan has a lot of hidden costs of doing business.
Yes.
And anything that you think will be a hurdle or can be a blocker is going to be a blocker in Pakistan. Like it's going to happen, right? And
True.
and I think you're going to just have to deal with it, right? I mean, it's look, here's what a startup really is, right? A startup really is a couple of guys coming together with some sort of an idea and trying to validate that idea very quickly, like executing it, trying to validate it and see if this can be a scalable business, right?
Yes.
And if it doesn't work, you pivot, right? You change it. But the real hustle is that you do it within a very small amount of time, right? So
Yes.
you don't waste a lot of time or money doing it, right?
Yes.
And essentially, when we started by Ikea, really people said, "Yeah, look, we don't understand this motorcycle taxi business. No, kaun betega? Nobody's going to sit on the back of a bike. Like, you
Yeah.
guys are crazy. They all said delivery is going to work, but they didn't. They weren't very responsive to the bike taxi
Hmm.
idea, right? But and these are people in our social circle and demographic and whatnot. But then when we launched, I mean, today 80%, 75% of our business is motorcycle taxi,
It's so
right? So
cost
it's
friendly. I mean, why would you want to, take up something that's costing you 500 rupees when you can go for 120?
exactly. So again, right? Look, the supply base is there. There are a lot of motorcycles in the city, in this country. There are, and I think Pakistan is one of the biggest motorcycle markets in Asia, or
Yeah.
where they sell like Honda and these Chinese bikes and all. They sell like crazy amounts of motorcycles, right? I mean, there's like 20 odd million motorcycles in this country already, or maybe even more now. So the supply side is there, right? Obviously, people need to move, so the demand is there. So it's a good mix, right? I mean, we're in the business of matchmaking, and it's been a very very interesting and fun journey for us because like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 years ago when we started, almost 5 years ago now we started. I remember the first day we did like 20, 30 transactions on our app,
Hmm.
December 2016. I mean, today we're doing north of like 100, 130,000 transactions, a day, right? And
Yeah.
20 transactions, 130,000 transactions. I mean, it's a long ground to cover, right? It's a long,
Yes.
big.
It's
We've
a
covered
long
quite a bit of
ground in a
ground
short period of time in which you
in a
covered
short
that.
period of time, and motorcycle, जो है ना, it's a very versatile asset because
Yes.
in our country, deliveries happen on motorcycles.
Hmm.
A lot of cash moves on motorcycles. A custom offices have riders, right?
Yes.
Like the riders where they say, "Yaar, go, ye cash this check, bring me the cash."
Hmm.
Stuff like that. So a lot of commerce is happening on the
Yes.
rails of motorcycles, right? People are moving with goods, money, checks, aage piche, people moving themselves. So it's essentially really moving the masses if you think about
Yeah.
it, right? It's
Everything that can
moving a
fit
lot of
on a
mass.
bike goes on a bike.
Yeah, and like I mean, there are apps that are doing groceries and whatnot, and even Bikea's gotten into that action
Hmm.
of fetching like a concierge service. Go get me chips and a coke. Go get me a
Yes.
bun kebab. Go get me naan. These type of
Yes.
things, right? And again, it's all because the cost effectiveness of a motorcycle is allows people to transact. They're like,
Yes.
yeah, we don't mind paying 50, 100 rupees for convenience.
Exactly.
Look, what's the opportunity cost? The opportunity cost is you have to go and do it yourself, right? If I want
Hmm.
naan for dinner tonight, right? Either I go to the naan wala, I drive my car, or I walk, or I take my bike and I go and I sit there, wait there, I say, "Bhai, please give me 5 naans or 10 naans or whatever," right?
Hmm.
And then come back with it's half an hour, 30, 45 minutes of my day, right?
Of course.
I mean,
Yes.
like, yeah, I'm busy, I've got stuff to do. I don't mind paying 50, 60 bucks to somebody to go and run this errand for me,
Hmm.
essentially.
Of
So,
course.
that's another problem that Ikea is kind of solving. So we're getting into, I think the idea to answer your question, I'm sorry, I've given you a very long,
No, no, no.
sort of drawn out answer here. To answer your question, when we envisioned the idea, it was a Ikea for everything. Har zarurat ki
Yes.
sahulat was our first slogan, right?
Yes.
And really, I think we've kind of stuck true to that, and we've tried to figure out, okay, chalo, we've solved mobility. Okay, somebody has to move from point A to point B. Now we have to solve commerce, where people need to buy stuff. Okay, but are they willing to pay 50, 60, 100 rupees for convenience? If they are, great, we'll go and buy it for you. Don't leave your
Yes.
house, or if you're busy doing something else, let us go and fetch things for you.
Yes.
And eventually, we will also want to solve payments where people will be able to use us to transfer money or to send money to a customer, or to receive money from a customer, or to send payment to a vendor. So we're working on these
Yes.
other verticals as well, and
Great.
trying to make them
Great.
more mainstream for ourselves.
Yeah. No, I believe this is a great idea because I mean, for in a country like Pakistan, let's say I'm a girl and I'm up at 2 a.m. I want to eat something. I'm obviously not able to go out, but it's
Yeah,
always, I'm opening up my phone, I'm opening up an app, and I'm ordering a ride to get me
yeah,
my late night munchies. So I believe it works out great for a person like me. So
good, yeah, excellent.
another thing was that in the past few weeks things have been really good for tech startups. They're getting
Hmm.
fundings. Recently a company got a great funding as well. So what do you think about that? What's your take on that? Do you think a that would do you think tech startups would bring a good amount of success to the country and would help with the economy as well? Do you think we're going in the right direction funding these startups?
Yeah, they can. So a couple of things we have to realize, right? Look, when businesses or venture capitalists, or investors are looking to deploy capital, right?
Yes.
What are they looking at, right? I mean, they're looking at the addressable market, right? They're saying, what is the opportunity? You know, what is the opportunity in Pakistan? Now, Pakistan
Hmm.
ke paas, also there are 200 million people in Pakistan, right?
Yes.
Are they all consumers today? Maybe not. Are 50% consumers? Maybe, right?
Hmm.
But will they all be consumers one day? 100% they will, right? And
Yes.
where is this? What is this market? This market is predominantly 20-year-olds, like 20, 22, 23. The average age in this country is like
Hmm.
21 or 19, and it's like 20 or 21 or something,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Which means that in the next 5, 6 years, all these guys are going to be 25, 26, 27, girls and
Yeah.
guys. They're going to be working, they're going to be earning money. And
Yes.
because they are 20, they are already tech savvy. They are
Hmm.
already the generation that has been born with a cell phone in the hand,
Yes.
right? So they have a smartphone, right?
Hmm.
Like my younger sister or nieces and nephew are more tech savvy than I am. And I run a
Even
technology company.
2-year-olds can use a
You know,
phone now.
exactly. I struggle with some concepts. कि यार ये कैसे चलता है, this
Yeah.
new app, how does this work? What's the idea? These guys figure it out very quickly, right?
Yeah.
They're already on it, Snapchat, this, that, So I'm like, okay. So every bit, so this is what people are betting on. This is what
Hmm.
investors are betting on. Investors are betting on the fact that this is a country of 200 million people. In
Hmm.
a few years from now, these guys firstly are going to need jobs. Okay,
Yes.
who's going to create all these jobs? The government is not going to be able to create so many jobs. Yeah, all of a sudden you've got an influx of people coming into the workforce.
Hmm.
Okay, so the startup culture has started to boom because we've had a couple of successes in Pakistan, right? We've had the likes of the Raz that have done well. We've had the likes of Food
Yes.
Panda that have done well. Ikea's looking like a success story. That's a local born company that's coming out of Pakistan. There are lots of other players that are coming in, and अपनी niche markets में सब लोग काम कर रहे हैं. So एक वो मिल गया है एक जो ये basically industry propel होना शुरू हो गया, right?
Yes.
It's starting
Yes.
to the wheels are in motion, right? The startup
Hmm.
wheels are in motion, right? Now
Hmm.
what's going to happen? That companies are going to go and raise capital, right?
Hmm.
Because there is startup investors are looking to deploy money, right?
Hmm.
Pakistan seems to have all the ingredients. We seem to have the right addressable market, a big addressable market, a young population. Those are all going to be consumers in the next 4 or 5 years,
Hmm.
okay? And they're all tech savvy.
Yep.
So you check all the boxes, right?
Yes.
तो market तो है. अब market में
Definitely.
players कौन है, right?
Hmm.
Demand side तो है, right? अब supply side पे players कौन है? Players हैं यार, you know, Taraz है, Food Panda है, Ikea है, Kareem है, Uber है. There are a lot of players, right? Local
Yes.
players आ रहे हैं, Bazaar आ रहा है, Airlift है. So many players are coming in, right?
Hmm.
So all of this is very good for the ecosystem, right? So at the end of the day, we are all competitors, but really we are also building this ecosystem, right?
Yes.
Ikea employs a bunch of people. We employ like 40,000 drivers a month. Yeah, 40,000 drivers. Food Panda does the same thing. Airlift does the same thing. What is this doing to the economy? Money is trickling down into the pockets of these guys, right? And they are eventually being able to buy stuff. And this is look, consumerism is increasing, right? Now, whether that philosophically you can argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not going to comment on that, right? But as a business, this is the environment that a business would like to operate in, because our customer base on a daily basis keeps growing. More and more people making money from. I'll give you an example, right? A driver partner who works on Ikea, let's say, earns anywhere between 30 to 50,000 rupees a month, depending on how much he works, right? A lot of guys do it part time. A lot of guys do it full time. Take full time banda 45, 50, 55,000 banata. Right? This guy, if he didn't have Ikea and he didn't have any other startup, this guy would be making 25, 30,000 rupees.
Yes.
Right? So
and that also we're not sure of.
That's also we're not sure of whether he would have a job or not.
Yeah.
Right? So now he's making 10, 15,000 over and above what he would have otherwise made. This is extra money in his pocket.
Yes.
Right? What is he going to do? He's going to buy better clothes for his kids. He's going to go buy, something for his house, for his wife, whatnot. That's where the money is going to be spent, right? He's going to improve the quality of his life.
Yes.
Right? He's going to improve the quality of his life. And by doing that, okay, he's going to buy something from Garage. He's going to buy something from maybe Airlift, from Food Panda. All of these, everybody benefits, right, in the ecosystem. So, we're creating customers for our competitors. Our customers are creating our competitors are creating customers for Ikea or drivers for Ikea. So all in all, look, all the money coming in is helping build this ecosystem, and it's driving, like I said, it's propelling us forward. And what the money is doing, usko catalyze. It's acting as a catalyst. Usko basically tease kar raha hai. It's increasing the velocity at which we are operating, right?
Yes.
And essentially, it's going to take Pakistan, hopefully going to take Pakistan, or at least make Pakistan or put us in a stronger position, because look, we've raised, I think this industry has raised about $250 million already this year.
Yes.
Right? Last year, the number was 112 million.
Yes.
Okay, this year, 9 months, you've raised 250. You've still got 3 months to go. You can probably get to about 300 million by the end of the year, right? Which is almost a 3x jump in 1 year. Okay, if the funding has jumped 3x in 1 year, it's probably going to jump another 3-4x next year. In 2 years, this will be $1 billion industry in Pakistan. $1 billion coming into the country, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's
everywhere
not,
I read, Pakistan is now among some of the top industries that are, getting into.
We are on the radar. Look, we are competing with the likes of Egypt, UAE, Saudi for funding now, right?
Yes.
And we are on that list. We were non-existent that list. We were never on that list before. Now we are on that list, right? Okay, investors, when they look at the region, they also look at Pakistan.
Yes.
So it's very, very encouraging for especially for guys like us. Because when we started 4 or 5 years ago, there was no landscape.
Yes.
There was nothing. It was a blank canvas. Nobody was willing to deploy capital in Pakistan. In fact, it was very difficult for Ikea to raise its seed funding initially.
Yes.
Right? So now it seems like the floodgates have opened. Investors are willing to deploy capital, and I believe that in the next 2-3 years, you're going to see a very mature, or at least a maturing industry come out of the tech space.
Yes, I'm sure. So during COVID, a lot of new startups came up. I think by this time we have an app for every service that we can think of. Doesn't matter whether the app is good, it's user friendly or not, but there is an app or a website for almost every service. So obviously you guys were in the market way before the coronavirus started. How did you tackle with so much competition coming in, and how did your company ensure that it would be sustained through this time and is still obviously there, making profits, helping people out?
Yeah, I think competition is always a good thing. Competition means that you are doing something right. That
Yes.
other people are trying to get into your space, right?
Yes.
They are seeing that you guys that somebody is doing something right in a particular space, and that other people should jump into it, try and capture some of that, right? So it's encouraging that other guys, new entrants have come into the industry, right? And and look, they have their own service offerings and value propositions and whatnot, right? The idea is, again, like I said, number one, validation hai कि यार, we started doing something, other people started getting involved. Okay, that's validation that we're on to something. Number one. Number two, okay, when we started, ride hailing was the big thing, right? Uber and Grey were the big, right? Ikea came in as the new kid on the block, the local kid on the block, sort of tried to take a different angle, right? I mean, these guys were in the car business. We said, okay, well, we can't compete in the car business. It's too expensive. These guys have too much money. Yeah, we're gonna do the motorcycle category.
Yeah.
When we did the motorcycle category, these guys saw, okay, yeah, Ikea is doing well in the motorcycle category. They started doing it. Okay, obviously, they tried to come into our space, right? We defended it really well, and we actually won, right? So now, again, that was competition for us, right? That was competition for us in our main product, in our main service offering. Our main bread and butter is ride hailing, right? So competition came in, we defended it, we deflected it, right? We managed to stay alive, and we managed to, right? So what did that competition do to us? For us, it made us honest. It made us fight harder. It made us become creative. Hey, yeah, I can't compete with Uber because they're the most well-funded startup in the world, right?
Yes.
There's no way Ikea can compete with Uber when it comes to burning money. But Ikea can compete with Uber by localizing its product, by taking a different angle, by being more driver-centric, by making sure that our supply base is happier, or we're listening to them, or localizing, or giving touch points. So it allows you, it in fact forces you to think outside of the box, right? And how one can do the same things differently to have a bigger impact. Right? So competition for us, we look at competition as a very healthy sign that more people coming into the space, more minds thinking about the same problem, or in a different, they may have a different perspective, they may have a different spin on it, right? And look, they are going to build the market for us, right?
Yes.
It's not that हम ही market build करेंगे, और नए लोग आएंगे, they are also going to spend money in building the market,
Of course.
So Ikea is building the market, other new players are building the market, and then may the best man win, right?
Yeah.
So
you've always taken competition to be healthy.
Absolutely. Look, for me, it's great news. Yeah, I'm not the only one spending money building the market. Everybody else is also doing it. And then I'm going to steal their customers, or they'll steal mine, right? And that's how it works, right?
True.
I'll give a better service, or they'll give a better service and steal my customers. This is what business really is. But all in all, what I'm trying to say is that, look, what happens is that the market, the pie becomes bigger.
Yes.
The pie and there, two, three, four players can exist in one industry. I mean, you look at the cement industry, there are like 16, 17 cement factories in Pakistan, right?
Yes.
So
and they're all minting money.
Yeah. So why can't food delivery, or the rest, or the grocery delivery, or the ride-hailing business be the same way? Maybe it can, maybe it can't. Time will tell. But more people coming in is validation for us that we are onto something and we are doing something right. And more and more people want to come into the space and compete with us, but also help build the ecosystem with us.
Yes.
Right? Because we will spend money on acquiring customers, so will Foodpanda, so will Airlift, right? And that customer, if it's a Ikea customer, I guarantee you he's going to go and try the other two, and their customer is going to come and try us as well, right?
Definitely.
And then it really comes down to who gives the best service, who executes the best, right?
Yes.
And that's what we need to focus on, and that's what Ikea has been focusing on for the last 4-5 years. That execution has to be key, right? You have to do it faster, better than everybody else, and if you do that, the customer appreciates it and sticks on with you.
All right. Great. So a little insight on Ikea and its operations. So I'm a strong believer that communication is key. In fact, Convo itself, the entire company, is based on creating seamless communication and seamless workflows for people out there. So, how do you, amongst your employees and among the team, manage this? How do you ensure that everybody is communicating well? Are you using any tools, or is there what kind of
Yeah,
workflow
so
do
we
you follow
use
for that?
yeah, so two things, right? So we have an internal tool which is basically so we've used, let's say we've used Slack in the past, we've used DingTalk, uh,
Mhm.
and now we've switched to, because we're on the G Suite. Uh, every employee has basically sort of a Google ID, let's say, but
Yes.
it's masked with the Ikea.com sort of thing. So we started to use GChat a lot internally.
All right.
So that's how
Yes.
we communicate, right? And we have a lot of reports and auto-generated reports that sort of come to us in that sort of format. But with our driver partners, right, and with our
Hmm.
customers, like we have our own. Our app has a messaging sort of feature in it, right? And we can communicate with our so every driver or every customer will have an inbox of sorts in the
All
app,
right.
right?
Yes.
And what we do is that we have our own tool that essentially allows us to mass message people. So
All
I mean,
right.
if we've got like 500,000 customers that we want to message, right?
Hmm.
We can send out a mass message to them, and it will stay in their inbox, and they can click on it. It will give them a notification. Obviously, it'll stay in the inbox, and they can click on it and view it as and when they please. Or we can sort of also filter out
Hmm.
certain cohorts, right? We can say, oh well, we don't want to message everybody. We want to message people who haven't used us in the last 1 week, right? We want
Yeah.
to prod them and just remind them that we're still out here. So
Hmm.
we can do that. So we have a lot of this. Like once you create a street, like let's say a road that connects you with your customer, right? And in our case, obviously, it's the app and the messaging feature in it.
Yes.
We can send videos, we can send pictures, we can send links.
Hmm.
We have banners. So I mean, these are all the tricks of the trade, and you guys being Convo obviously know this better than we
Yeah.
do,
Of
actually, to
course.
be
Yes.
honest. So,
No,
so
I believe a company is all about communication. A company's success
yeah.
completely is, directly related to how well communicated the team is with each other.
So just to give you some context, basically what we do is that देखिए हमारा काम क्या है? हमारा काम है यार, we built a driver network. ठीक है, हमारे
Yes.
drivers हैं, right? हमारे driver partners हैं, बेतहाशा हैं.
Hmm.
That's really the value that Ikea
Hmm.
provides, right? कि यार, anybody wants anything, or they want to go somewhere, or they want something delivered, and 5 minutes somebody's going to be here willing to help you, right?
Yes.
Whatever you want, right? So our customer is our driver partner, right? When
Hmm.
he makes money, that's when we make a commission, right? So we want to
Yes.
keep our drivers happy, right?
Yes.
And not only that, we want to communicate with them all the time.
Yeah.
So in a day, we'll actually send like 4 or 5 different messages to them based on the mood, the time, the campaign, whatever we're running, right? Maybe we're running a special campaign for them, a special
Hmm.
bonus for them. जैसे अभी वैक्सीन ड्राइव हो रहा था, right? So we were
Hmm.
like constantly bombarding कि यार go, we've worked with JS Bank, we've set up this drive through with them, go, it's free,
Get
just go get
yourself
it done. And
vaccinated. Yeah.
a lot of our driver partners took advantage of that. So
Hmm.
and again, the communication was constant, it was consistent, it was being hammered. They
Hmm.
go get this done, go get this done, go get this done, and tell us once it's done, so we mark you as you've been vaccinated, right?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it really, the tools really help to communicate with like 100,000 people out there, right?
Yes.
That used by Ikea to earn a living. So absolutely, I completely agree. It's very, very important to communicate with
The team. Yes.
customers.
Yes. Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the last thing I wanted to ask you was, is there anything you would want to advise future entrepreneurs or people who are planning on starting up their own businesses, whether it's tech related or not?
Yeah. So
Right.
one of the things that I'll say, and I'll borrow this from our CEO, Munib. He keeps saying something which I find to be very interesting and true. I mean, look, when we built our app, right? We
Yes.
built it in Urdu, both the driver and the customer app, right? And you know, initially people were like, "What is this? Like, we
Hmm.
can't even understand this and whatnot, right?" And 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 his thought process was, "Yeah, look, if 90% of your country can't speak a language, then why try and sell them a product that it's going to be hard for them to understand, right?"
Yes.
So if I was to give any advice, I would say, look, if there are guys out there who are building products, um, you know, be it a grocery product, be it a an ordering website or an aggregation product or whatnot, right?
Hmm.
You try and incorporate our culture and our language in it, right? Try and incorporate how our people interact with each other in the offline space, right? Go to the
Hmm.
local market and see, okay, a shop, how does a shopkeeper interact with the customer, right? It's not in English, right? I mean, yes, if you go to a fancy mall, it may be in English, but usually it's not in
Mostly
English.
it's no.
There's a
Yes.
certain a lingo, there's a certain style of doing things. It's a very desi tarika of doing things, right?
Yes.
And maybe incorporate that in that element in your product, right? So
Hmm.
it's very familiar. It's not a hurdle. Somebody's not wondering what they have to do when they sign in. They can sort of understand it. They can relate to it, and that will
Yes.
improve conversions. That will reduce the hurdles for new customers who are not so tech savvy,
Hmm.
right? To
Hmm.
come into your
Yes.
space and maybe discover you and say, oh, okay, this is okay. We can sort of incorporate this.
Yes.
A quick feature, voice notes.
Hmm.
Like here, it's big on voice notes.
Hmm.
WhatsApp पे आप देखें voice notes कितने चलते हैं Pakistan.
Yes.
Everybody in Pakistan is sending voice notes to each
All
other,
about voice notes. Yeah.
right? Because they
Yes.
can't type, right? We can't type. That's really
Hmm.
the reason, right? So it's easy just to speak. We're
Hmm.
lazy, number one, and we can't type. So
Yes.
two major reasons why voice notes
True.
have worked, right?
Yes.
So we've incorporated it, right? Customers communicate with drivers saying, "हाँ भाई मैं इधर गली के कोने पे यहाँ पर खड़ा हुआ
Hmm.
next to this पान वाला," for example, right?
Hmm.
That's it. I mean, it beats the shit out of Google Maps, yeah.
Yes. True.
It's as simple as that, right?
Yes.
So all I'm saying is just think it's great to copy products. I mean, everybody copies things and borrows ideas from other businesses and whatnot. But try and bring a localized element to it.
Hmm.
It'll help the masses adopt your product.
Yes. A more personalized experience for people.
A more localized experience.
Localized experience. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. I think that brings us to the end of our conversation. And thank you so much for taking out the time for us.
Thank you for having me.
It was
A lot of
great
fun.
having you. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.